Welcome back to episode 3 on the Ride JBI YouTube channel of our Monster Energy AMA Supercross Rider Review Series for the 2025 season. In this episode 3, we're going to tackle the topic of former winners in the Premier class, that being Aaron Plessinger, who won his first Premier class main event last year at San Diego, Justin Barcia, who recently moved over to the Roczen Energy Gas Factory team, and then of course Germany's Ken Roczen, multi-time Premier class winner. We are super excited to tackle these three riders because we think that these guys have the most likely potential to disrupt the Big Four in the title fight for the 2025 season. So, JB, what are your thoughts on these three riders specifically heading into 25?
I'm excited to watch them all because, well, one, like you said, Ken Roczen is always a threat to win a race. Barcia, you never know what you're going to get. You know he's always going to be in that top 10, but is he going to be a top 3 guy that night, or is he going to be a top 10 guy that night? And then with Plessinger, we see very much the same. Some nights he's always right there, and other nights he's just maybe more of a top 5, top 10 guy. I'm excited to see how they use their time off with the downtime, maybe what bike updates and changes that they've made, and just to see how they approach this new season.
Let's start with Ken Roczen, do a deep dive here. Spend maybe the next few minutes talking about him. I think this is the rider that's probably coming in with the least amount of changes heading into 25. No real changes to the bike, the team, the program, still at Moto Sandbox, putting in his laps. But the one obvious change is the switch in suspension tuners. To recap, when he joined the HEP Suzuki team, he fiddled around with factory connection, then was Showa for a little bit, then finally found a sweet spot and was with Active Ride for quite a while. And now he's working with a new suspension tuner, REP.
Yeah, I was watching the World Supercross races, and man, Roczen looked phenomenal in the Audi buy round, if that's how you say it properly. If not, I apologize. But his bike looked awesome. So we're willing to touch on that and to say hats off. It's important to, I think, validate your peers when they're kicking ass and doing well. And, we feel bad for the guy that maybe got left. I have no insight to what happened. But Roczen looked phenomenal and the bike looked great. So whatever they're doing, they seem to be on the right track. And man, a confident Kenny is a tough to beat Kenny.
One of the things that caught my eye when looking at some of the PR photos when Suzuki announced the team is the different shock hardware that they're using on Kenny's bike, and realistically the entire team's bike.
Because they went from Showa last year to now KYB. It looks like they're on.
Yeah, all KYB for Kyle Chisholm, Ken Roczen, and Colt 45. That's Colt Nichols. They are opting to use is the triple adjuster on some riders' bikes, and then the dual style adjuster on other riders' bikes. It seems like each rider has kind of gone back and forth in between adjusters. JB and I both have time aboard the KYB triple adjuster and the KYB dual adjuster on our Stark Vargs, and I think we'll have a video coming out very shortly on how each adjuster performs out on track, because as a large influence on how the bike, especially the rear shock, is performing and absorbing the bumps out on track.
It does, because previously I didn't work on too many RMZ 250s, and that's where that triple adjuster was stock on those bikes. So I just didn't have a ton of time with it until I picked up a Stark, and then I really got to get very familiar with it. It caught me off guard how much of a difference there was in the two adjusters and how they influence the feel of the shock, given they're both set up with similar settings and similar attention for that. But I do want to point out that the triple adjuster that's often on Eli's bike is usually the works one, and the size of it is much bigger than the production one. And looking at the photos, I think they're running the production one on Kenny's bike. I'm guessing probably some modifications on the backside of the adjuster as well. So I'd be curious, just as a suspension guy, to know the difference between the works adjuster and the production one that we have.
Let's move on to our next rider, Justin Barcia. There's an obvious switch in just the overall aesthetic, the whole team going from the Troy Lee Designs Red Bull Gas team to now more of an in-house role with the Rockstar Energy Gas team. So I feel like he's going to get maybe a little bit more attention than he would used to over the past, I think, 4 seasons that he's been with the TLD Gas team. I'd hope for Barcia, this could be the year that could either revive his career or it can kind of go the opposite way. He's heading into a contract year, and the future is kind of uncertain for Justin Barcia, depending upon how he does in 2025.
Yeah, for a rider like that, I can't see him wanting to not be on a factory team. I don't see why he would never not be on one, but if the offers aren't there, I would think the resources required for a rider of that caliber are pretty high. I remember KTM, this was when Cooper Webb just went there, and how much they marketed the fact that all the riders shared suspension settings and nobody was getting maybe preferred attention and couldn't get what another rider had. I don't know if that's the case anymore because we assume Chase is still on the KYB forks, and we haven't seen those on any other bikes. So I don't know if that's strictly a chasing that they're allowing or if the other riders get to try that as well. So long-windedly, what I'm saying is, does Barcia even like the other settings that people are developing, or is he very much his own rider? Meaning if Chase is doing this, he just doesn't even care. You do your thing. I'm doing mine, and I'm not influenced by your choice of equipment.
I know he got to try the Chase X and KYB. I'm assuming it's not the exact same valve stack in between both forks. I think now the KTM group has a better way of hiding the fact that it's KYB internally now. They don't have the KYB Technical Touch fork lugs on there anymore. And it's kind of harder to spot. They obviously have the 3D cover printed cap, and I think that'll be the biggest dead giveaway. If you see the 3D printed cover cap, we more than likely are pretty sure that's KYB internals, because why would they be running that if it was a WP fork cap?
Yeah, or if you maybe see. No, but honestly, I think that's really cool that KTM was like, fuck it, we'll do anything to make this rider happy. But that's a whole different thing. We'll go down another time. He gets good starts. He's a hard guy to pass. He's one of those riders where I think at this point in his career, he knows if I get the start, I have that extra ability and desire to push it. And maybe if I don't get the start, cool, I'll take a third or a fifth tonight, and I'm happy with that.
Let's giddy up and move on to the third and final rider in this video. How's it going? And talk about Aaron Plessinger. Aaron is entering the final year of his Red Bull Factory KTM racing contract, and I wonder where his career goes from here. This is another guy, much like a lot of other riders in the 450 paddock, who are heading into the final year of their contract, could see the relationship going either way. I could see Aaron wanting a long-term commitment from another team or even KTM. Or if KTM slides an offer across the table and it's only another 1 year, does he take that, or how does he feel about that? So I think for Aaron Plessinger, this season is really going to be big for his career and his just longevity in the sport.
Yeah, and I'm wondering kind of the same thing that we alluded with Barcia is, does he get access to some of the same equipment? Is he running very much the same bike setup as last year? We've seen a lot of growth out of him performance-wise and finishing-wise as a rider. I would hate to see him go somewhere else if I was KTM, and then you start to see all the hard work and investment you put into that rider now pay off at another team. We often see that with like Pro Circuit sometimes. They'll pick up really young riders, maybe not perform to the expectations that they had, and then that rider goes somewhere else. That rider's 4 years older, not 18, he's 22 now, he's got physique, he's got experience, and then he has a much better second half of a career. So that's got to be a tricky thing to consider when you're hiring riders and thinking about the future.
For Aaron, my biggest question heading into the 25 season is, have we seen the best of Aaron Plessinger, or is he going to keep getting better? You think he's going to keep getting better, but when I look at the long list of names in the 450 class, I mean, it's Chase X and Eli Tomac, Lawrence's, Kenny, all these guys. I'm like, shoot, like I just don't know how much further he can climb in the ranks based on what he has shown us in the past. And I hope he proves me wrong. I hope he can go out there and snag multiple podiums, race wins, and last year, he even held the red plate for a few rounds, so hopefully he can snag that again and hang on to that for quite a while. But I'm just not exactly sure where I place him amongst the likes of those other past champions and some of the other riders that we've already covered in this Monster Energy AMA Supercross rider review series.
Yeah, good point, man. It's one thing to improve and catch up and match a rider's speed, but it's another thing to then keep improving at a faster rate than that other rider is improving. So yeah, really good point, man. It's because none of his competition is just hanging out, chilling, not trying to get better. They're all trying to get better. So I guess the name of the game is, can you improve at a faster rate than your competition is?
Of the three riders that we talked about in this specific episode, who do you think will have the best season? Ken Roczen, Justin Barcia, or Red Bull KTM Factory Racing's Aaron Plessinger?
I just want to go with Kenny just because I really want to see him get a championship. He's been through it with some gnarly injuries. He's come back. He's awesome for the sport. One of my favorite moments just in motocross in general was the Red Bull straight rhythm at Huntington Beach. And when Kenny threw just a fucking insane whip next to Barcia. And Barcia was throwing an awesome whip too. But Barcia's make his look not nearly as good. And it was on a YZ252 stroke, which he had minimal time on. And we watched him race Carson for that Eras thing. It's just,
Yeah.
what a cool guy. We need that guy in our sport. And I like to see him get the accolades and finish results that I hate to say that he deserves, but he's capable of achieving.
Yeah. That kind of matches the caliber of rider that he is out on track.
100%. You know, it kind of, he almost falls into the James Stewart category of the sense of, I would have thought James Stewart would have had way more titles once he went to the 450 class.
Yeah, I mean, James Stewart only has 2 Premier Class Supercross championships, which is mind-boggling.
Villapoto won 4 championships. I think he won 3 in a row, then broke his leg at St. Louis, which Dungey almost ran into him.
Yeah, and Ryan Dungey went on a stretch run, I think from 2015 to 2017, and then he won in his rookie year, 2010.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's a boatload of championships as well. Sometimes when you think about James Stewart's career, you think of like all these wins and championships, which he does have the wins, but the championships, not so much.
His nickname is still the fastest man on the planet, which, dude, if James would just put up a YouTube account of him riding like once a month, man, I think he'd get a lot of subs and people just watching. It's still just fun to watch him ride.
That's going to wrap it up for episode 3 of our Monster Energy AMA Supercross Rider Review Series, where we cover former winners in the Premier Class Championship. Thank you guys for watching this episode of our Rider Review Series. Make sure to subscribe to the Rider JBI YouTube channel if you haven't already. These are also available on Spotify as well, so if you want to listen or watch, you can go ahead to the Rider JBI Spotify account and see those as well. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you guys in the next episode.